So I'm Bo Lipari. I'm executive director with New Yorkers for Verified Voting. We've been advocating for a type of voting system based on paper ballots and a device called ballot scanner. So the question is, what types of voting systems are the alternatives? The first alternative, and one that has been much favored by many of our election officials and even some of our elected officials, are electronic touchscreen or push-button style computerized voting devices. You'll hear me refer to these as DREs. That stands for Direct Recording Electronic, because you record your vote directly on one of these machines by touching the screen or the push-button interface. The other type of system that is on the table here in New York is paper ballots and precinct-based ballot scanning systems. This type of system is based on a hand-marked paper ballot and uses computerized devices to provide accessibility for the disabled and as an automated way to count those hand-marked paper ballots. That's sort of the key difference between these two types of systems. The ballot scanning system involves a hand-marked paper ballot. Let me tell you why I and so many other people have concerns about DREs. What is it that upsets us about it? Well, first of all, technologists, people that understand computer security, have taken a good look at these machines, and we're shocked to find how little actual security seems to be built into these machines. How about the failures in actual elections? Well, there are hundreds I could give you. I'm just going to give you a few here today. But in November 2003 in Boone County, Indiana, the DRE's software reported 144,000 votes. And that sounds pretty good until you realize that Boone County only has 19,000 registered voters. And when they actually went back and checked the poll books, what did they find? They find that actually only 5,352 people had signed in to vote. Now, this was an obvious problem in Boone County. When you've only got 5,000 people showing up and you get a vote count of 144,000, you know you have a problem. But would anybody have ever noticed that in a larger district? If the margin of error had not been an absurd margin of error like this, but rather a small one of a few hundred votes or a few thousand votes, would anybody have ever noticed it? I maintain probably not. It's obvious in this case. Questionable results is another thing we see with DREs. Presidential undervote rates on the Sequoia Advantage. Sequoia Advantage is a push-button style voting machine that in '04 in New Mexico, 1 in every 19 ballots on the Advantage DREs didn't register any vote for president. This was a scale that was way off the charts in terms of the other percentages for undervote rates. What's another kind of problem we see? Well, this is a good one. This is sort of the, was it a hacker or was it not? In Comal County, Texas, 2002, they had 3 winning candidates. Each one of them tallied exactly 18,181 votes, 3 in a row, which everybody said, well, that's pretty odd, but they never audited it. Well, a computer programmer knows that in this numeric notation that we programmers use, a 1 is the number for the letter A, and an 8 is the number for the letter H. So if we substitute the letters, 18,181 3 times in a row, this is what we get. Ha, 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 ha. So was this a hacker? Well, who knows? One of the problems with DRE systems, particularly paperless systems, is there's no way to go back and check. All you have is the results.
My name is Michael Shamus. I'm a distinguished career professor in the School of Computer Science at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. I've been here for 30 years. For the past 25 years, I've been involved in computerized voting system examinations. So over all of those years, I've done about 115 different voting system examinations.
If the choice was between what is generally considered DRE and paper ballot optical scan, is there a system you would favor between those two?
Oh, I would always favor DRE.
You're positing that after a vote was cast, it could be tampered with very easily just by adding another piece of another mark on it.
It always is. If the ballots are subject to recount, that means they're going to pass through another human being's hands.
Do you know of any recounts that have occurred with paper ballot optical scan systems where the hand recounted ballots did not agree with what the scanner said was the count?
I don't know of any such, but I'm not sure I would know.
Do DRE opponents have valid criticisms of DRE systems?
Oh, yes. There is a criticism of the reliability of the systems. That is, how long will they continue to operate correctly once they are turned on? And our field experience with them has been exceptionally poor. In the 2004 election cycle, something like 10% of the DRE machines in use in the country failed on election day. And what happens, of course, is when you reduce the number of machines in a precinct, lines get longer, voters get frustrated, they don't have enough time to vote, and they balk and go home. Anytime you add a new piece of hardware to a voting machine, you certainly can't increase its reliability. And a stress test was done in California, where they're seriously considering using Diebold machines. They had 99 machines, which they used in a realistic election setting for a period of about 5 hours with voter-verified paper trail. During that test, 20% of the paper trails failed. Now, if you have a statute that requires a paper trail, and the paper trail breaks down on that voting machine, you must remove the voting machine from service. You know, these machines only have to work for about 30 hours a year. How somebody can build a piece of electronics that can't stay up for 30 hours is beyond me. You would never tolerate that in any kind of appliance that you ever bought. If it failed after 30 hours, you'd be back at the store with it.
Miami-Dade County, 2005. Now, this is an interesting case because Miami-Dade is the 8th largest county in the United States. 2 years ago, they spent $24.5 million to acquire DREs from Miami-Dade. They found that those DREs lost hundreds of votes due to a ballot programming error. This is not speculation. This is not maybe the votes were lost. Everybody agreed these machines literally lost hundreds of votes in the elections. They just were wiped out because of a ballot programming error. Also, they found out that the DREs cost twice what the officials had budgeted. Imagine that, twice what they had budgeted. Costs for DREs were always being told by the vendors they're going to be so low, it's going to be very low cost. But yet, again and again in practice, what do we find? Running DREs costs way more to run elections than any other type of voting system. Why? Primarily due to high vendor maintenance costs. Larry.
Yes.
We wanted to record you showing us your new machine. You want to run us through your little demo?
Sure, absolutely. Sequoia, of course, everyone knows it is a New York company made in New York, and we made the old machines, the old lever machines.
Sequoia Voting Systems is a subsidiary of the Smartmatic Corporation, a multinational company with offices in Barbados, Venezuela, Mexico, Taiwan, and Florida. The principal investor and CEO of Smartmatic holds dual Spanish and Venezuelan citizenship.
Plus, if there's anything that happens to the screen, it's a lot less expensive to repair. It's like $50 to repair a screen.
According to information on the 3M website, Sequoia voting machines use the 3M MicroTouch panel. Online pricing for this touchscreen panel is about $600 a piece.
I've had one person even take a match and light the paper and nothing happened to it, just had a little spot on it.
This is a Sequoia Paper Audit Trail, or VPAT. When a match is applied, it catches fire and burns. What do you expect to be the replacement ratio of this machine to lever machines?
At this point, we expect it to be the one-to-one replacement for the lever voting machine. I must also mention that this system is not a computer.
Do you have any sense of how many people can process through a voting system in, say, an hour? How many people can use a machine in a set amount of time?
That statement is going to be hard to respond to.
Just do the calculations in your head. If it's a complicated ballot and it takes you 2 minutes to vote, you're going to get 30 voters an hour. and in a day, 15 hours, 16 hours, you're going to get roughly 500 voters. These machines are being used for blind voters and anyone that wants access to vote in private. So if you're going to have a voter that's going to be using a headset and keyboard system, they may take as long as 30 minutes each. Realistic would be 300 to 500 voters, depending on the complexity of what that ballot is.
I'm Suzanne M. Scarpa. I'm the town clerk for Lee. I've been assistant clerk treasurer from 91 till 98 and the town clerk from 98 to present.
Could you tell me what the technology is that Lee, Massachusetts uses to count votes, and what was the previous technology?
We use optical scan, and it's called an AccuVote machine. We did have lever machines prior to this.
Okay, how many lever machines and how many optical scan machines?
We had 8 lever machines, and now we're down to just the one AccuVote machine.
In the 2004 election, how many voters voted on that one optical scan machine?
3,200. We had a very good turnout.
Were there lines to wait, or did it move along fairly quickly?
We had 35 marking booths, so 35 people can mark at the same time. We never had a line. The line generated from the checkout table.
So as far as the scanner itself is concerned, 3,200 people voted and there was never a line?
Nope, not for the machine, not for the marking booths. It was a lot quicker than what we used to have. We used to have long, long lines. And 35 people who can mark their ballots at the same time, put it in the machine and they're done. It's 150% better than it was because we don't have all the lines. You know, we don't have the, people aren't getting frustrated or angry. They can get right in there and get right out.
If you were going to explain optical scan to someone who had never tried it before and you only had 10 seconds, how would you explain it?
You would go in, you would give your name to the check-in table, you would get your ballot, go to the ballot booth and mark your ballot, and then put it in the machine and you're done for the day.
This is the New York State Board of Elections public hearing concerning the rules and regulations proposed for voting machines.
My name is Rosemary McLaughlin. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Westchester County. The League of Women Voters continues to be in favor of precinct-based paper ballot optical scan voting equipment. This is a proven system which has been used in many states for the past 20 years. It will be easy for election inspectors and voters to adapt to this system because the ballots the voters fill out are similar to the forms used for SAT exams and lottery tickets. The machines rarely break down, but if they do, voting can continue with ballots being dropped into a secure box. We urge the New York State Board of Elections to take time to carefully evaluate and test complete voting systems. We sincerely hope that the coming elections will not present problems on the scale that occurred in Florida and elsewhere in the year 2000. If serious problems should occur, responsibility will rest with those who certified and purchased the machines. Thank you very much.
You realize that your clapping is merely a political statement and not a testament to the quality of the words you heard.
Heffernan, H-E-F-F-E-R-N-A-N, trustee of the Village of Cold Spring. Unfortunately, the 800-pound gorilla in the room is that no one believes computers are secure. No one believes computer vendors when they say that computers are secure. To my way of thinking, the simplest solution quite often is the most correct. And staying way behind the bleeding edge of computer technology seems to be the proper course for us to take. Thank you very much. Yes.
The systems we're looking at, and I think people should understand that both the optical scan and the DREs, frankly, are computerized voting systems. They're both computerized.
No, I'm aware of that, and that is very true, and they are both computer-based systems. However, the actual voting, the recording of a vote with the optical scan is done by me. There is no opportunity for software to be an intermediary and create something that I, in fact, did not do myself. We all have experiences with computer-based systems. We all have found out in our own personal lives that computers are extremely expensive to maintain. However, my optical scanner I've been using for almost 20 years, the same one I purchased 20 years ago. I can't say that for my computers. They're replaced every 5 years. The computer maintenance required, the technical assistance being in the hands of vendors are all big red flags. The opinion of all of the people that I have spoken with in my community express shock that a computer-based, I shouldn't say computer-based, that a computer recording of your vote is the underpinning of it, namely the DREs. They find this astounding.
Many things have happened in recent years with respect to DRE systems that would legitimately undermine public confidence in them. One of the worst things that has occurred, and I've railed against it in every possible forum, including this one, there's no reason for voting machine manufacturers to keep their source codes secret, because the normal checks and balances that we use to assure that things don't have flaws have been bypassed. There are no trade secrets in there, and even if there were trade secrets in there, the public interest in the sanctity of elections trumps any private interest that a voting machine company should have in its source codes. I think the real solution is to require that the codes be revealed by statute. You want to sell your system in this state? Fine, you've got to disclose your source code.
Is a ballot scanning device run on software? Yes. Could it possibly be compromised by flawed code or malicious code? Yes. But what's the difference with a ballot scanning system? The difference is the paper ballot. There's the paper ballot, you fill in the bubbles. There's the scanner, you put that in the scanner. Here's a ballot marking device. If you need accessibility features, you use that to mark your ballot. 3 steps, very simple. Result, a hand-marked paper ballot.
What is your opinion on proprietary secret software and proprietary testing of the software?
Totally inappropriate for voting machines. It is not a private company that is supposed to be the evaluator and tracker and determiner of outcome of elections in the United States of America. It is supposed to be an open, transparent, public process where anyone and everyone has the opportunity to question, how were these votes counted? Can I see the proof? Can I have the numbers? Can I be assured this is verifiable? So this should not be proprietary secret software. And in fact, I would argue that the more people who are looking, the more ways you can evaluate, the more opportunities for the public to be able to cross-check and cross-verify, the more likely we have of holding on to this fragile democracy that we have been fighting for and fighting to keep for several hundred years.
This is the crucial time in New York State and in the entire country. We are looking at the whole-scale replacement of our voting systems by insecure electronic voting systems. We are allowing the privatization of our elections. We are giving away this public sphere to the private vendors. We cannot let that happen. And ladies and gentlemen, the time is now. If not now, when? If not you, then who?